Good morning, good afternoon, and good tidings to all men. Welcome to Smashing English's 12 Days of Christmas. Yes, in the lead up to Christmas, we are giving you 12 videos and live streams all about Christmas. We know that not everyone celebrates Christmas, but it's a huge tradition around the world, so if you are learning English, it's really good to know how to talk about it and understand some grammar associated with it. So, what are we doing in today's day of Christmas? Well, a big tradition in the UK is that on Christmas Day, the monarch will give a speech. And obviously, for the last 70-something years, it has been a speech from Her Majesty the Queen. So I grew up on Christmas Day, you have your Christmas dinner, you sit down and you watch a speech from the Queen. However, as we know, this year Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II sadly passed away, so this year it will be the King's speech, which is really weird to get my head around. But what I thought we could do today is I will watch one of the Queen's many speeches and we can talk about her accent and also some of the words and phrases that she uses so that we can learn as much as we can from that speech. Now, her accent was very unique, so it's very interesting to listen to. So heightened, so posh. Don't try to copy it. If you want to have an RP British accent, this is not the accent to copy because no one speaks like that. It's something just on its own, but it's very interesting to listen to. Okay, so we're going to look at her Christmas message from 2012 because that was quite an interesting year for London. That was the year that we had the Olympic Games, so I think she might speak a little bit about that. Let's watch it.
This past year has been one of great celebration for many. The enthusiasm which greeted the Diamond Jubilee was, of course, especially memorable for me and my family.
Okay, already can you hear those completely different vowels? Okay, so she says past instead of past, which is a trait of RP. So if you speak in an RP British accent, you will say past, grass, half. Whereas if you're from somewhere like Liverpool, you will say past, grass. So in the UK, you will hear both of those sounds, but of course the Queen says past because it's more proper. She also says celebration for many, me. Instead of many with an e, she lifts it up to her nose and goes many, e. Her vowels are much more up here, so things go to the nose a bit more, so she goes many. Just listen to how she says many one more time.
This past year has been one of great celebration for many.
And also notice how she doesn't say many people. Don't feel that you have to always say many people because we know she's not talking about animals or anything crazy. She says it's a great celebration for many. You don't need people on the end. Let's carry on.
It was humbling that so many chose to mark the anniversary of a duty which passed to me 60 years ago.
So many, so many. We nowadays, people in the UK just go so. Whereas she goes so. It's everything's lifted into this part of the mouth here. It's all very tightened up here, almost like she's smiling all the way through. Whereas most normal people talk a lot more down here with less proper up there.
But perhaps most striking of all was to witness the strength of fellowship and friendship among those who had gathered together on these occasions. Again,
those starts on a smiley, those, rather than those. Those, ew, hello. There's a joke that if you want to say oh, hello, like the Queen, you go air, like air in the sky, hell, air. Air, hello. That's like how she says things. Up here, with a smile. Oh, she looks happy on her boat.
Prince Philip and I were joined by our family on the River Thames.
Family, fair. Now, it's much more common nowadays to hear in Britain, family. Wide, whereas she goes family, almost like it's an E, family. They might say cat instead of cat. So things go wider with normal people. It's almost like she was trained to not move her mouth so much because that would be unladylike. You know, if the Queen was talking like that, it's very crazy. So she's supposed to be very controlled and elegant. So she talks without moving her mouth almost at all. So you get things like family, rather than family. So everything's tighter. But if you are learning English and you want to be understood, make sure you don't say things like family, cat. Make sure you say family, cat. Make that a nice wide ah sound.
As we paid tribute to those who shaped the United Kingdom's past and future as a maritime nation.
Paid tribute, that's a nice phrase, to pay tribute. You might also hear give a tribute, but it's most commonly to pay a tribute. So when you respect someone for something they've done, you might give a sign of respect to those people because they've done something great. We pay them a tribute.
And welcomed a wonderful array of craft, large and small, from across the Commonwealth.
Listen to how she says large. Now this is common in a lot of places in the UK. We don't do our R's like an We wouldn't say large unless maybe you're in the West Country or Northern Ireland. But in a lot of places in the UK, definitely for RP, if that's what you want, you don't want to do large. What you do is you act like you've gone to the doctor and they say, okay, open, say ah. You go, ah, and then just put a j on the end. Large, large, no
There were people who had taken their places to cheer through the mist, undaunted by the rain.
That's British people. Undaunted by the rain, yes. If you are daunted by something, you are scared of it, you are worrying about it. But if you are undaunted, you're not scared of it. That's fine, it'll be okay.
That same spirit was also in evidence from the moment the Olympic flame arrived on these shores.
Again, same thing with the R, shores. It's not shores. You know, if you want that RP thing, you've got to keep your R's nice and open. Or shores, like that. That was cool. The Olympics opening ceremony was very cool. I remember watching that. I remember when James Bond flew in. Amazing.
We were reminded too that the success of these great festivals depended to an enormous degree upon the dedication and effort of an army of volunteers.
That's interesting. She said it depended upon. This, I'm sure, is what we used to say very commonly. You know, I depended upon him for support. But now more commonly in modern days, we've dropped that up. So we don't say depend upon as often, we say depend on. So I depended on him for trust and support, but I'm guessing grammatically correctly, and in Elizabeth's time, it was more common to say depend upon. And you still might hear this, but it's nowhere near as common as depend on.
But for others, service will come first.
Now, she doesn't link her R's. So she says, but for others, for others. She says no R's in that sentence. However, a lot of modern speakers, even in RP, we will say for others, brothers. We take that R and we carry it over, because when we link things, technically that R is coming before a vowel, and when an R comes before a vowel, we say it, like road, sorry, borrow. So with this, for others, if we link it, oh, the R is in front of a vowel, so we say for others. So if you want to work on your linking, if you want to sound fluent, if you want to sound like you speak English all the time, practice your R linking, for others.
Those serving in our armed forces.
Oh, she did it then. In our armed forces, our armed forces. Even the Queen does it.
I wish you all a very happy Christmas.
Very, very happy. So very, she does a slight tap ta, very happy. Not happy. She goes, happy Christmas. Lovely, how sweet. And there you go. I hope you learned a little something from this video. If you did, give this video a like, and I will see you next time for the next day of Christmas.